everybody, and welcome to, believe it or not, the 20th annual Ebb Awards. And just at the outset, I want to thank a few people. Tim Pinkney for putting together this event and being such a great friend to the foundation all these years. Billy Stritch for serenading us. And for their pro bono kind of media help, Matt Ross and his friends at Print Shop PR. So the idea for this started more than 20 years ago. Was kind of a gleam in my uncle's eye. I remember being at his kitchen table talking about this idea that he had. And I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes, but I'm sure he never dreamed that this would last as long as it has, or mean as much as it does. And I'm very, very proud of him for that. What he wanted was very simple and straightforward. He wanted to give back to the community that had sustained him. This community was at the center of his life, and he wanted to give back. And he wanted to give back in two distinct ways. The first was to contribute financially to the degree that his intellectual property royalties would permit to Broadway Cares Equity Fund Saves. And in the first year of the foundation, 2005, the Ebb Foundation gave $300,000 to Broadway Cares. This year, we're giving $2.8 million. Which is nearly 10 times the original contribution, and brings the total contributions to Broadway Cares from the Ebb Foundation over the 20 years to just shy of $33 million. There's no way my uncle thought that was going to happen, and I didn't either. So I do want to recognize on the Broadway Cares part somebody tonight who has run Broadway Cares for many years. He's been there for 36 years. He's retiring at the end of this month. He was there at the creation of Equity Fights AIDS in 1988, and he was there for the merger of Equity Fights AIDS with Broadway Cares in 1992, long before the Ebb Foundation was formed. And Broadway Cares, for those of you who are not familiar with it, it supports and makes possible truly life-saving services for people in the entertainment community and in the theater community. Now it makes contributions to the Entertainment Community Fund, which was the Actors Fund until recently, and it helps in many, many ways people in the theater community who are struggling with housing issues or health issues or insurance issues. And you know, doing this kind of work is not the most secure way to make a living, and people need help, and Broadway Cares is there for them. For his long and distinguished service to the Broadway community as the executive director of Broadway Cares, Tom Viola won a Tony Award in 2010, but he is he has never won a Fred Ebb Award. So to honor Tom, your commitment and the collaboration, which has been just joyous for me personally and for the foundation, we want to recognize you tonight. If you would come up, and I want to present you non-songwriter to win. So, hold that.
Had I known when I gave Fred that tour of the dressing area of Broadway Bears that this would result in this. Fred was a great friend, thanks to Tim Pinkley primarily. Came to many of our events, and I knew when we learned of this annual award that Fred's primary purpose in doing this for us was for Broadway Cares, was that we would be able to help the Entertainment Community Fund create a safety net of social services for everyone in the entertainment industry and performing arts. So first I want to acknowledge Joe Benincasa, who's the director. Since 1988, Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS has awarded the Entertainment Community Fund over $140 million, and 33 of that comes from Fred Ebb. So thank you, Fred. As Fred didn't exactly write, life is not always a cabaret, but sometimes it's good, it's grand, and it's great, particularly for the folks that the generosity of Mitch and the Fred Ebb Foundation, John Kander, and all the artists who have made his work possible, for the benefits that they have made possible for hundreds of thousands of folks in the entertainment industry. So thank you for this, and thank you, Fred Ebb.
So now we get to the second purpose of the foundation, which is to give out an award each year to an aspiring musical theater songwriter or songwriting team. The only two requirements are that they are terrific and they haven't yet achieved significant commercial success. And the idea behind this is plain to see. My uncle understood that for most writers in the musical theater, it's a struggle. It's a struggle to make ends meet. Some people make it very, very big. He and John made it very, very big. But you need luck as well as talent for that to happen. And he wanted to support young writers. He wanted to recognize them. He wanted to give them some financial support so that they would keep writing and create new and innovative works for the musical theater. And so each year we bestow on a deserving songwriter or songwriting team this award, which carries a $60,000 financial prize, as well as a piece of student glass. My uncle loves student glass. So this year, we're very, very happy to welcome into the family of Ebb Award winners, many of whom are here tonight, I'm happy to see and say. Cheeyang and Eric Sorrels, who are so this year there were 265 applicants for the award. For helping us winnow that to a group of 7 finalists, I want to thank Rachel Sussman and Rick Hip Flores. And for selecting the winner from among those 7 finalists, I want to thank David Loud, Solea Pfeiffer, and Julie Benko, who were on our board. So this award is hard to win. And you'll hear some work from the winners in a couple of minutes. So I want to go back to that kitchen table. Maybe it was 23, 25 years ago, and I remember sitting there with my uncle. And I think what had dawned on him is that at the time, Kander and Ebb had 2 shows running on Broadway. The Revival of Chicago had opened. It's still running. And and there was a very successful and wonderfully inventive production of Cabaret that was also running at the time. And he thought, well, maybe I'm going to continue earning royalties, and I need to figure out what to do with that. And so we talked about it, and he had this idea of creating some vehicle through which he could make these two forms of contributions to the community that he loved. And it was a gleam in his eye at that point, and as I said before, I don't think he ever imagined that it would amount to what it's amounted to for this long. And it just makes me very, very proud of him that he decided to do this with this work that he and John had created. And the thing is, their work endures. You know, Cabaret is now running in New York and in the West End, in London, and just passed its 58th anniversary of when it first opened on Broadway. And Chicago and Cabaret are done all around the world all the time. So because their work endures, the foundation may endure. And one of the things we've done to respond to that is that we've appointed a co-trustee of the foundation, who is my daughter, Hannah. And that's a sign of our hopes for continuity. On this occasion, the 20th anniversary, I want to thank two people who really helped me figure out how to do this thing 20 years ago. Jack O'Neill and David Patterson. You know, this was just a statement of my uncle's will. You know, form an entity that's going to do this and do that, and we had to create that. And they were really, really instrumental in helping me to do that. I'm very, very grateful to them. The other person I want to thank is John Kander. You know, some people, Tom Viola is one of them, but there were some people who thanked me for, you know, I don't really do anything. I mean, I just collect the money and give it out. It's a fantastic gig. If you have the opportunity through an uncle or anybody to do that, I highly recommend it. And the thing about John, whom I love, when I was a little kid, he used to write me notes signed, "Your other uncle." The thing is that if you know their songs, the lyrics are inseparable from the music. It's one of the things that makes them what they are as songwriters. So it's not just my uncle's work, it's their work together that generates the royalties that enable the foundation to do what it does. And so I'm very, very grateful to John. And of course, at root, I'm grateful to my uncle. You know, I'm just a lucky nephew. You know, I mean, he was my godfather. And that's how I knew him. I knew him as my uncle. I remember when I got my tonsils out, I think I was 6 years old. This is my earliest memory of my uncle. I think I was 6 years old, and they kept you in the hospital overnight then when you got your tonsils out. And I came home, and there was my uncle standing in the driveway with a Monopoly game, a new Monopoly game to play with me. And I remember our long talks about all kinds of subjects and our correspondence when we weren't in the same city, and all the shows and movies and his generosity with me. I remember visiting him in Los Angeles with some of my friends, and everything was a competition, a ping pong competition, diving. You dive off the roof of his house into a swimming pool and you get graded on the floor. And mostly I just remember how encouraging he was, encouraging me to be who I wanted to be, and to pursue what I wanted to do most deeply. and genuinely, and to pursue the things I most care about, to create a life, which is something he did and encouraged me to do. So I didn't know him as kind of a figure in the musical theater community. He was Uncle Freddie. And what I've come to learn in the last 20 years especially is that he is a figure in the musical theater community. That is part of who he is out in the world. And it's become part of his legacy, not just the songs, but now the foundation. And that connects me to him in a way that is very, very moving to me, and for which I feel eternally grateful to him. And his work and what he means in terms of the American musical is part of how I know him now, and part of how I love him now. So let's get on to the award. For the 20th annual, we really wanted a member of the sort of CandorNet family, someone who's been in their shows and who knew them, and we hit the jackpot tonight with Deborah Monk. She is, as you know, an accomplished performer on the stage and in films and in TV. She's won a Tony Award. She was nominated for her performances in 2 CandorNet musicals, Steel Pier and Curtains. She's won Drama Desk Awards, a Helen Hayes Award, an Obie, an Emmy. But most important tonight, she was a really good buddy of my Uncle Fred. He was irreverent, my uncle. And they were irreverent together. They traded limericks, filthy limericks. If you see her later, you can ask her about the one about the obstreperous youth who got caught in a telephone booth. It's a wonderful limerick. X-rated. Deborah did something that I've never heard before. At my uncle's funeral, she was one of the people who eulogized him. She told a dirty joke. The place was packed. It was at Riverside Chapel on the Upper West Side. And she brought the house down with this dirty joke. So if she can tell a dirty joke at my uncle's funeral, what is she going to do tonight? I have no idea, but I look forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Deborah Monk.
And I love you, Tom Viola. So happy to be here tonight when you were being honored. I just can't believe it's been 20 years since so many of us I know have been here since the very first one, when Sheeta gave away the first award. It's just so thrilling what Freddie has done. I met Freddie for the first time and John Kander when Scott Ellis, is Scott here? I don't know if he's here. When he cast me in Steel Pier in 1997. A little footnote is that because of Scott Ellis, we have been in this room for 20 years. He set this up, which I just want you to know. I had never been in a big Broadway show. And the first day of rehearsal, John and Fred sang through the entire score. And Fred sang Everybody's Girl, which would be the song that I would sing. And he was Everybody's Girl. He was so funny and so naughty and so absolutely brilliant singing that song that I decided right then and there, I'm going to do the song exactly like he does. And I did. I stole everything that he did proudly and tried to do it as good as he did. And we soon learned that, as Mitch said, we had a love of dirty jokes. And so I would tell him a dirty joke every day of rehearsal. And the first one I told him, and you've all heard this joke because I've told it a fucking million times. A woman walks into the drugstore and says, "Where are the batteries?" And the manager says, "Come this way." And she said, "If I could come that way, I wouldn't need the batteries." And Freddie said, "I heard it another way." Really? I said, how did you hear it? He says, a woman walks into Macy's and asks the floor manager, where's the talcum powder? Now the floor manager was bow-legged, and he said, walk this way. And she said, if I could walk that way, I wouldn't need the talcum powder. He was so naughty, I can't tell you all the things he did. But one time we were in the middle, he also came up with brilliant lines and bits and amazing things. And I was on the stage, Brad Bradley was dressed up like Mr. Peanut, walking across, and I had to cross him. And Freddie said to her, Deb, next time he crosses by, say this. So Brad Bradley walks by, and I look at him, I go, what are you, nuts? It was a little funnier then, but... He would also leave me, as Mitch said, dirty limericks on my phone machine. But he never would say, hi, Deb, it's Freddie. It would just be like this. And then, there was an obstreperous youth who was stuck in a telephone booth. When struck with a fever, he screwed the receiver and knocked up a gal in Duluth. Great opportunity to do 3 canned redemptions. And one of my favorites is Curtains. It was just, as Mitch said, Freddie loved the theater, and so does John Kander. And this was a love letter to the theater. And there's so many beautiful songs in it, but this one, which we ended the show with, is one of my favorites. It's an honor and a joy to be in show business. I feel that spotlight hit me and I'm gone. At the last curtain call, I'm the enviable. So I know the show must go on. I mean, it's just a brilliant lyric. I sang it okay, but it's a great lyric. It's beautiful. Freddie loved show business. He really did. And he loved to work. They were telling me stories once about Mr. Abbott. Wanted them to write a new song, and they kind of looked like they were upset about it. And they ran over to the hotel and just were giddy writing a new song. They loved to work. They really loved writing. And he wanted to make sure that there would be some help for all those brilliant new lyricists to come. And he has given that help for 20 years, which is amazing, to all these beautiful and wonderful new writers. And so it goes on. And so I am so proud to introduce the winners this year, Eric Sorrels and Cheeyang. This is in 2 pieces. 2 minutes and 1.
I'm gonna say a few things, but first, so Cheeyang wishes they could be here tonight, but we actually were finalists for a prize in London on the same night, the Styles of Drew New Song Prize, which ended because it's 5 hours ahead. We found out that we were runners-up for that. It's okay. The cosmic scales are back in balance. I'm gonna try FaceTiming Cheeyang, and if we could wish them congratulations, that'd be pretty cool. So let's see what happens. I did warn them that I was going to do this. Okay, here we go. I'm going to hang up because I need my phone to say the rest of the things. Okay, thank you, Tim, for being such a warm introduction to the Fred Ebb Foundation and family. Thank you. Thank you, Mitch and Julie, David and Saleha, for seeing something special in our work. I can't fully express in words how it feels to be seen in this way as a songwriter in this field. All I can say is thank you. And I know that there were many other songwriters and that it was a really, really hard decision and that they were just as deserving, but I'm really glad you picked us. And I just want to share, before we share some songs, a brief reflection about Fred Ebb, whose legacy is the reason we're all here. 10 years ago, I was a junior in college, and I came to New York in the summer of 2014 for an acting intensive at Circle Square. And I remember wandering up to the Studio 54 theater about 10 minutes before a matinee production of Cabaret. And I didn't really know the show that well, but I had heard really good things about the production, and they had some standing room tickets left, so I bought one. And I also, because I was just turned 21, I bought a $17 cocktail called the Toast of Mayfair. And I stood behind the orchestra. And I'm thinking about it now, and I was like, prior to seeing that show, I thought about musical theater in a really myopic way. Musical theater was entertainment, and it was a vehicle for me to impress other people with my talent. And I think so I was 21, to paraphrase another lyricist, Sondheim, I was young, life had been kind to me. I left the theater that summer afternoon slack-jawed. I remember muttering to myself, I think that changed my life. I didn't know musical theater could do that. I didn't know that a lyric, such as, if you could see her through my eyes, could entertain and make an audience laugh, and then sucker punch you with something that makes you question everything you just saw. And as I've grown into myself, in addition to what we know for him to be as a hilarious person, I think about how they have the uncanny ability to thoroughly entertain, but also to make piercing messages about social issues. Musical theater was not just escapism, it could also be an arena to grapple with the horrors of the world, to ask big questions, to bring life to humans who would try to answer those questions. And that kind of approach to songwriting is what excites Cheeyang and me. We come from very different backgrounds, but we use this medium to engage with the world around us, to seek answers to life's biggest questions. And I've already taken too much time, so I want to share some of those songs now. All of these are going to share 3 songs, music by Cheeyang, lyrics by me. I'm going to invite Pearl Sun up to the stage for the first one. This first song is from The Phoenix, which is a story about healing and grief, told through a lens of Chinese dance and traditional Chinese medicine. The singer was a brilliant Chinese dancer who got injured and paralyzed in her prime. And the doctor who ended up curing her paralysis became her husband of 30 years. At the moment of this song, he's recently passed away, leaving Ruby Wong with the song's title, Questions for Howard.
from using this makeshift bed, what would you have said? My sister called me today. Somehow she knew before I could say. She thinks that I could use some time away, but I want to know, just want to know why, just want to know how to fall asleep in my bed.
The next two songs are from another musical project called Maya, which is a story that takes place in 1930 British India. And it follows a poet named Maya who finds a new voice for herself as she awakens to India's struggle for independence. This first song is called Higher, and it's sung by two very different people who are important to Maya's life in different ways. What the singers have in common, and the reason that they're singing, both of their parents are gone, and these young people are trying to let go of the way their parents told them the world worked so that they can figure it out for themselves. This is Higher, and it'll be sung by Kimberly Chatterjee and Michael Maliakel. Thank you.
Ma, how did you love the Mekas? I know by seeing through Maya, by seeing through the great illusion that divides us. You knew behind the veil we're all one soul, and you were at peace. I've never been at peace. I'd always beg you, make me more than an outcast. Why can't I go where the Mekas go? Tell me, why is this the lot we drew? And you would tell me there slowly fill my head with doubt. I'll make do without and reach a little higher.
This last song is called Overflowing, which is a good one-word summary for the way I feel right now. Also from Maya, and we picked this song because this evening is really a celebration of writing itself. At its heart, this song is trying to capture the feeling of that flow state where you're so full of inspiration that the rest of the world just kind of melts away and nothing else matters except the pen and whatever it is you're working on. This comes right in the middle of Act 1 as the plots are starting to kind of merge together, and Maya the poet is reaching her first quote-unquote breakthrough. And it's a celebration of poetry and of songwriting as a place where people from different walks of life can meet and connect with shared words. And being the lyricist, I just want to share a snippet of the lyric with you before we begin. On common ground for you and I to meet on, language you and I can share. On common ground for us to plant our feet on, let our voices fill the air. I am overflowing. Come and meet me there. And I'm just going to quickly introduce the rest of our singers as well. Sorry, I forgot. Neetu Chalana, Jonathan Braviv, and Sabrina Shaw. Thank you. It's just piano. Almost there. Okay. Naomi and Eric.
Rushing through my veins, overflowing, and I can hear 1,000 new refrains. Let the world fade away, so I can write all day till my knuckles ache, till my fingers break. I'm wide awake. Oh.
thank you to all the singers and musicians, and congratulations to Cheeyang in absentia and to Eric. And thank you all for joining us tonight and celebrating with us. We have the room for another 20 or 25 minutes, so feel free to mingle and drink more and eat more and just be together. Again, thank you all very much.